Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining me and painting with me today. My name is Christina Coleman, and I am co-owner of Coleman Events. And today, I'm going to show you how to turn this canvas, that's love, the apple, and the V is two pencils, into your very own masterpiece. And so before we get started, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of different ways that we've done this piece before. So this is what you have with you today, the blank canvas of love. And here's an example of one way we've done it before. We've done it with the black paint in the background to make it kind of look like a chalkboard. And then on this one, we actually added a ruler. And see, it says Coleman Events. And the artist who painted this one, his name is Jamar Sweet. And we made the E into look like a piece of paper, notebook paper. And then a different way that we've done this is we've done it with the background being a multicolored background. And we just highlighted the L with some white, and the E with some yellow. And then another way we've done it is we've done it with another multicolored background with some shades of blue and green and yellow to kind of give it like a tealish kind of background. And then we highlighted the L and the E again, this time with black paint. And then we kind of gave it a little shadow around the apple and the pencils, just to give it some depth and some interest. So today, we are going to go ahead and make this one something just as unique as the others. I don't know what we're going to do with the background just yet. Haven't decided, but that's the fun of art. You can make it how you want, make it your own, have fun with it, use your creative license. And that's what we encourage. We want you to use your creative license, have fun, and make it your very own. So before we begin, inside of those kits that you received, you should have an apron. I want you to take a few moments and put the apron on because we are using acrylic paint, and that paint tends to dry fast and permanent. It does not come out, and it will stain your clothes. So go ahead and take a few moments and put the aprons on. You can pause the video and then come back. All right, welcome back. So you have on your aprons and everything else that you want to put in front of you that was inside of your paint kit. You have a medium-sized brush and a small skinny brush. You should also have your napkins, a plate that we're going to use to mix some colors, a cup, and you want to go ahead and fill that cup up with water if you haven't already, and then your paint pots. I'm going to show you a trick on how to open up these paint pots if you haven't already. So you want to hold the base of the paint pot with your right hand. And then you see that left flap right there? You're going to use your left hand to open that left flap. So go ahead and take a few moments and open up your paint pot. So you just want to start from the right and move your way across to the left. So start with the right, move to the left, hold that base with your right hand, open the paint pot with your left hand. And just take your time, go across, open them all up. It's not a rush, not a race. You can take your time. Okay, so now we're going to start getting paint. We're going to start painting. So take your medium-sized brush and dip it into your water. You just want to get your brush bristles a little loose if they are stiff. Sometimes brand new paint brushes, they'll be a little stiff. So put it in the water and then dab it on your napkin. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go with the traditional paintings. I'm going to paint my L purple. Plus, purple is my favorite color. So, if you want your L to be purple, you can certainly do that. If you want it to be blue or red or yellow or green, go for it. Again, we want you to use a creative license. We want you to have fun and we want you to make this your own. So, go ahead, dip your brush into whatever color paint you decided you want your L to be, and then let's go for it. Now, you don't have to use a lot of paint. You literally can just put that brush inside of the paint. One good dab will do it, and you can use that to pretty much cover almost the entire L. You just want to take your time and use long strokes across. And it doesn't matter if it's super, super dark because we are going to go over this with another coat. This is just your base coat. It's your first paint, your first layer. And you just want to use up all the paint that is on that brush and just cover that out completely. And do not worry if you go out of your lines a little bit, it's perfectly fine. We are going to go back over it when we are done and clean up those lines towards the end. So if you go outside the lines, it is perfectly fine, not a big deal. We're going to go back and we're going to fix it later. For now, you just want to go ahead and fill in that out with whichever color your heart desires. You see how I'm just going ahead and using up all the paint that's on the brush. Only had to go in there twice. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint my E purple as well. If you want to paint your E a different color, you certainly can. You do not have to paint it the same color I'm doing. You don't even have to paint it the same color as the owl. You paint it whatever color your heart desires. This is your masterpiece. This is your painting. And we want you to have all the creative license in the world and make it your own. And again, you do not have to have a lot of paint on that brush because this is just your first layer. You're going to come back and you're going to put more paint on there again for a second coat, and it's going to make it even more dark. But for now, we're just getting that first coat down, that first layer. And again, don't worry about going out of the lines, not a big deal because we're going to go back over it later and we're going to clean those lines up. Right now, I'm just making sure I get that E completely colored in. Just going across a few times, making sure all of the paint in my brush is making it onto that E. All right. Next, you want to clean off your brush. Make sure you get all the paint out of the brush, nice and clean. Dab it on your napkin. And now we're going to focus on our apple. So you want to go ahead, take your small brush, put it in the water, get it a little bit wet, so you can loosen up those bristles. Dip it into your black paint, just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot, just a little bit. Now you're going to decide, how do you want your leaf to separate from the branch? And I'll show you an example of one of the ways we did it. You see how this branch here comes down and across, and then the leaf spreads out like that. I'm going to do it this way for this time. So I'm going to take my take my branch, and I'm just going to come down just like that. See how I'm curving it away from the leaf. And then I'm going to take the leaf and I'm going to curve that away from the branch, just like that. Almost looks like a diamond, just a little bit. And then I'll put a little bit more paint on there, just a teeny, teeny, tiny bit. And you want to come across and have your apple continue. So now your apple has continued across, just like that. Go ahead and take a few minutes and get your branch and your leaf down. So now I want to pick up my big brush again. I'll go into this red paint. I'm going to paint my apple. You want to get a good amount of red paint on your brush. And then I find it's easiest if you take and just do one long continuous stroke all around the perimeter until you run out of paint. Just follow along the perimeter till you run out of paint. And then you come back around and keep going. Once you've run out paint completely, fit back into there and do the same thing on the other side. You run out. And now that you have your perimeter, you can go ahead and fill in the rest. And you just want to be careful with how you're painting it, because you don't want to have too many lines. It's okay if a few are showing your brush strokes, because we're going to go back over it one more time with another layer. But just because it's an apple, you kind of want to keep your shape as round as possible. So I'm just doing nice strokes, half moons, if you will. And then we're going to come back later. We're going to do another layer. And while that is drying, I'm going to pick up this pen, I called it a pencil, or I was about to call it a pencil, because kind of sort of it is the way we're using it right now. We're going to dip the small brush back into the black paint. Just a little dab will do it. And now we're going to make the detailing on our pencils. I'll show you the example again so you can see. So we're going to have this pencil overlay this one. So we're going to make our line come on down, and kind of connect the two and create the illusion of this one being on top of that one. So take your paint, come right on down, and then you kind of want to make a curve a little, just a little curve to round it out a bit. Like that. And then I'm going to curve this one just a bit because there's a sharp V in the template that we send to you all, but you definitely can make it a little curvier, a little more realistic like a pencil. So go ahead and take a few moments, do that. Dip it into your paint again. And now we're going to go about this far up to create the eraser. So you want to create the line for your eraser there. I'm going to make my pencil just a little skinnier right here. And you're going to make the line for your eraser here. You can make it as fat or as skinny as you like. It's your pencil. Make it how you want it. Then next, we're going to go up here. We're going to make the lines to show that your pencil has been sharpened. So just going to kind of make some zigzags here. You can make your zigzags as big or as little as you want. Your pencil, your choice. We're going to take and make like a half a moon, I guess you could call it, or maybe a little baby smiley face, so that we can make the illusion of the point, the lead in our pencil. Now pencil is really taking shape. Oh, and I almost forgot this part here. We want to make sure that we show that part of our pencil. So I'm going to do another line across. That's going to represent that part. And we'll come back to it later and fill it in with brown. But we're just going to put our line there now. That's going to represent that part. All right, now we're done with that detailing. We can clean our brush off. Now we're going to grab that medium brush again. We're going to put some brown on our brush. Not too much. And let's go on and paint that the branch part of the apple, the little stick part. And again, don't worry about those lines. If you go out of line, it's okay. We can always fix it. Now, while you still have some brown on your brush, you can go ahead and paint this part here brown. A little bit more there. Now, if you don't want it to be brown, you want it to be a different color, by all means, Make it whatever color your heart desires. This is your painting, and it should be exactly the way you want it to be. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, I still have brown on my brush, put a little dab of brown right there on my plate. Just a little dab. Clean off that brush. Get it good and clean. Because now we're going to put a little bit of white next to that brown. But we don't want to cross-contaminate our colors, so we have to make sure we clean our brush in between. Put a teeny tiny dab of white with the brown, and that's going to make kind of like a beige color. Because I want the little sharpened part of my pencil to be beige. So I'm going to put a little white with my brown. And now I have this nice little beige, or light brown, I guess you could call it too. And I'm going to paint this part of my pencil that light brown color. And again, don't worry about those lines. If you go over, it's fine. We're going to fix it later. Now I'm using the big brush, but if you find that you need to use the smaller brush to get into those little corners, that is perfectly fine. Go for it. Okay. See how your pencil is starting to take shape? It's starting to look like a pencil. Clean it off real good. Wipe it down. Now, I want to take and put a lot of water on my brush. I'm gonna dip it into the red, right? Because I want my eraser to be just barely, it's a little too much water, just barely red. I don't want it to be too red. Now, if you want your eraser to be pink, what you can do is mix some of the red with white and get that pink color, right? But I want mine to be more so red. So I'm doing red with the water, and that's going to make it red, but a light pale red. Now, if you want your eraser to be blue or yellow, green, purple, go for it. I would love to see the finished product when you guys are done. So if you all could maybe have Dr. Green take a picture and send it to me, I would love to see what you all have created since I can't be there today. I think you all are going to have some pretty cool masterpieces, and I can't wait to see the different color combinations you all come up with. Now, while that's drying, I'll go over here to back to my apple. I'm going to paint the leaf. Give the leaf some love. And again, you don't need a lot of paint. A little goes a long way, I'm telling you. And make sure every time you clean up your brush, you want to dab it on that napkin. Make sure you get all the color out so that it's nice and clean and you don't cross contaminate your colors. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a second coat on my letters. I'm going to do another coat of purple. And remember, if you load up your brush with that paint the first time, you can just about cover the entire thing with just 2 grabs of paint. You see how the colors on your letter is getting darker and the brush strokes are actually starting to disappear with that second coat. I'm gonna do my E again. And you'll notice how your brush strokes are just disappearing now. That second coat. And again, you go over those lines, not a big deal, because we can clean that up at the end. And you don't want to use too much paint. It's better to do thin layers and go over it again versus putting a whole lot of paint the first time around, because the more paint you use, the longer it's going to take for it to dry. But if you do a layer, let it dry, do another layer, let that dry, it'll take less time to paint and it'll also dry faster. Now I'm gonna go back to my pencil because everything else should be nice and dry now. Make sure you clean that brush. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'll take my pencil, the nice traditional old fashioned color of yellow. And just take your time. And notice how I only had to grab paint out of the pot one time and it covered both pencils. If you turn your brush, the big brush sideways, makes it easy to get those zigzags. Now go back over here, getting that zigzag. All right. Now while that dries, I'll go back to my apple, do a second coat of red on the apple. Make sure you clean it off real good. You don't want to cross-contaminate your colors. Go back into that red and go right along the corner again. Keep on going around till you run out of paint. If you keep making a circular motion, kind of gives the apple a little bit of depth, you know? So now, looks like our pencil is still a little wet. So while we let the pencil dry, we figure out the details we want to do on the pencil. We can think about what the background will look like. You want it to look like a chalkboard, like this one. And if you do, then you would just simply take your black paint with a lot of, put some water, put your black paint onto the plate and add water to it so that's real thin. And then begin to paint all around the objects. And they'll start to look like this gray blackboard looking background. You can do that. Or you can do this one where it was just a mixture of the different colors. So this one was a mixture of green and blue and yellow, and just I put them in different spots. I would put the yellow over here, there's some blue right next to it, some green next to that, and then I would just mix them all together and right onto the canvas. That's an idea. Or you can paint your background all one color. Like say, if you want your whole background to be white, or you want your whole background to be blue, or brown or purple or yellow or green. It is completely and totally up to you how you want your background to be. I think, I think I'm going to go with the chalkboard effect today. So to get that, I'm going to take your brush, put a dollop of black right onto that plate. You want to get a healthy amount of black on there. Like 2 good dollops should work. And you want to take some water, dip it right into the water. And you want to put it right on the plate. You see how when you put it on the plate, it starts to thin that black out. So you want to use that thinned out black and just go up and down, up and down, up and down. And you see how you have, this looks gray. It's not too dark. It's almost like an off black. You just go ahead up and down until you run out of paint. And you dip your paint right, but your brush right back into that watered down black. Maybe give a little bit more water. Continue to paint your background that watered down black color. If you want it to look like a chalkboard. If you don't, you want it to be a solid black, you can certainly do that too. It's your painting. You do it how you want it to look. The more water you use, the more almost translucent it's going to be. You go right up next to those letters as close as you dare. Because again, when we are done with the background, we're going to go back. We're going to add some details, and we can go over anything that got messed up. Just keep adding water, black paint, water, black paint. And the key is to keep moving that brush. Keep moving the brush back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And anytime you seem like you got too much black or it's a little too dark, just add more water. And that'll thin it right out. And you can do that effect with any color. It doesn't have to be the black. You can do it with the blue or any of the colors. And really and truly, if you do that with any of the colors, it will make it like this very pale version of the color that is kind of interesting to look at. So I've gotten half of it done. Add some more water to the black that's on my plate. Make our way over here to this corner. Not too much black. Let's add more water. See how that side is darker than this side? I had too much black, not enough water. Now I have to spread it out. There's no such thing as mistakes with art. Art is subjective. Art is all based on what you want it to look like. So if you take a wrong turn, you can always course correct. Just by adding a little white here or a little water there. And next thing you know, you're right back in the ball game where you wanted it to be. I wonder how many of you all have decided to do some kind of crazy color, like, I don't know, a yellow background. That's probably pretty cool. Yellow with all these colors. I think blue would be a pretty good color for this as well. You notice how I haven't gotten any more paint or water because I'm just spreading out what's already there and filling in any spaces that are white. Uh-oh, I grabbed some red paint. Clean that off my brush and right back in. And now it looks like it's on the chalkboard. I know chalkboards were out when I was in school, and I'm pretty sure now I've seen mostly whiteboards in the school buildings, not as many chalkboards nowadays. But this is kind of the effect of what it would look like if you had a chalkboard in your classroom. Not sure how many of you all still have chalkboards, but kind of how this would look. Now I'm just playing around with it, pushing the paint around, kind of drying it really. You just keep going over it like this, kind of drying the paint a little faster. So now I think our pencil should be a little drier now. We should be able to go ahead and do some detailing on that pencil. So I'm going to make the pencil have a little bit of green on it, kind of like the first example I showed you all, with the brown and the green. So I'm going to first dip my pencil. I'm sorry, I keep calling it a pencil. My small brush into the green and just make a couple lines across, just like the example we saw. As big or as small as you like, completely your choice. Or you cannot do the pencil effect with the green at all, your choice. Clean that off, grab for you a little bit of black, just a little bit, and put it right up against that green, just a little, just a couple of lines going across. And then I'm going to put a few lines in my brown, just a couple. Just little small details in the pencil. And then I'm going to have a few lines going down. Or if you want to put the number 2, you want to write number 2 on there. Or however you want to decorate your pencil. Or maybe you might want to put your name on it. Whatever you want to do, it's your pencil. Make it how you want to make it. I'm going to grab a little bit of white. Still using that little pen. That little brush. Grab a little white. I'll put it right here. Right there on my pencil. Like a little shadow. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Completely your choice. I'm gonna put a little bit of detailing on my apple. Just a little bit, you know, a little down there. Anywhere where I think might be shining on the apple. Maybe the apple shining right there. Maybe the apple is shining up here a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. A little goes a long way. And now it's the part where you can go, excuse me, take your little brush, wet it, dip it into that black paint again. And if you want to, put a little detailing on your leaf. Make a little line going straight down. And then you know how leaves have those lines going like that. Now look at your leaf. And I think I'm going to give it a little bit of a top. Just like that. Look at that. And my branch has a top. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the detailing of my letters. So a trick, if you have a black marker and you don't feel quite that confident with your painting in black around your letters, you can use a marker to outline it. Or if you're feeling confident, you're feeling a little brave today, go ahead and take that brush and outline your letters. And so now that's where you're going to correct anything that might have went amiss. Like if you painted outside the lines, now it's your chance to clean those lines up a little bit. Or if you like it the way it is, leave it. It's your picture. You can make it how you like. Go ahead and clean up some of my lines here. And you know what would be real cool? If you want, you can outline your letters in a completely different color. So I think it was this one. Yeah, it was this one. Well, I outlined the letters in a completely different color. I outlined my E in yellow and I outlined my L in white. So again, it's completely and totally how you want it to be. This one I try to make it look like it was wood. So I did different variations of brown, red, and yellow. So, you know, it's fun to be creative. It's fun to paint and make things your own and change up things a bit and make it unique. I'm just simply going through, cleaning up my E. A little bit of black paint. But like I showed you guys, you could paint it a whole different color if you want. Outline it in blue, outline it in white. Now, I'm going to turn it around to do my L so that way I don't get paint on my hands or on my arms. It's a little bit easier if I do it like that. Now I think I'm gonna make this even bigger, make it look like it's a shadow on my L. But like I said, if you have a magic marker or a Sharpie and you're not feeling too confident about using the paint, you can always, always, always use that to clean up your lines. It took a while for me to feel confident in painting my lines. And even today, I still don't do the best with it, but I try my best. And as long as you're trying your best and you're having fun, who cares if it looks perfect? It doesn't have to be perfect. This has to be how you want it to be. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and give this E a little bit of a shadow too. Just because I can. And might add a little Fix up this pencil a little bit. Make sure my lines are nice and sharp and crisp. And that about does it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you enjoyed yourself. I hope that you are happy with your pieces. And hopefully you will put them on display at your house. And please remind Dr. Green to send me a picture because I would love, love, love to see what everyone's pictures look like. Thanks for joining me and painting with me today. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself as much as I enjoyed myself. Have a good day.